So let's talk about IEP goals.
Okay.
Let's talk about, why don't we start with your definition of a good IEP goal?
Oh,
Let's start with a good one.
yes.
Because we have lots of examples of bad ones. I actually have an IEP goals, a set of IEP goals that we can discuss. But what would be overall considered a good IEP goal?
So, I'm in the state of Massachusetts, but I think it is nationwide that you have a goal and you have objectives under that goal, right? So I think the goal needs to cover a specific area if we're talking about the goals, right? Because sometimes goals just embrace too much.
Right.
We have one goal for expressive, receptive language and communication. It's all one goal. And then under that, we have 4 objectives. So to me, not good, because these are each receptive, expressive, communication, huge areas. And so if you dump it all in one goal, then you have one objectives in each, and basically the child is not really moving forward in those areas in a significant way, because you are working in one little thing, right? And by the time the child graduates, you cover 10 little things. Right. So I think the goal needs to be specific enough that when you line up all the objectives underneath, you are sort of addressing a good chunk of what the child needs, not too much and not too little, but thinking about where the child is today, developmentally, what is the child working on, what is happening at school, what are the demands at school that they need to meet, and also where the child is going to be in the next 2 to 3 years. I'm very developmental. So if we're talking about a reading goal, just to give an example, and a child is in 2nd grade or in the 3rd, is a struggling reader, I'm going to say, this child is still learning how to read, but when the child enters the 4th grade, they're going to be expected to learn from their reading. That's a switch. Instead of learning the mechanics, now they're going to be expected to read well enough so that they can take a text and actually get information out of it. It's a whole different situation. So I'm going to say we need to get the child there. We have 2 years. We have to think about it. We cannot sort of go at a leisurely pace, because in 2 years this is coming. So so the goal needs to just have a little bit of that stretch, where always academic demands are going up. The child has to sit more and more and more. So is there any kind of motor, postural issues, low muscle tone? The child cannot sit just comfortably. I'm going to say, okay, we have to get the child stronger. So in a year and 2 and 3, as this need to sit goes up, this child is actually keeping up, because it's going to be too late when we get there, right, to start working on it. So there has to be measurability in the goal. And the way I think about it is you have to be able to envision it. When the goal and the objectives, each objective describes the situation, I will actually close my eyes and see if I can envision it, because
That's a lot
of times I just can't, and then there's a problem. And generalization, and I'm talking more about kids on the autism spectrum, because they do have a generalization issue. But so the goal needs to be well described, so you know where it's happening, what the child is doing, who it's happening with, what kind of assistance the child is getting. But also it has to be in more than one context and with more than one person. That's a generalization.
Right.